Obviously, there is an extensive history between the North and South Korea. There's actually an extensive history between South Korea and Japan. And if it's not so prevalent in the current generation, because they're a little bit more removed from it, but with like my parents' generation, my mom and her siblings, there's still a lot of animosity between the Japanese and the Koreans. And the North and South split is more political. Um, it's it's not that the people are against each other, but like the South, the general sense that I get, when I was there, and that I know, is that there are a lot of people that would like to see, that kind of reunited, but they don't. There's just so much politics that are involved with the North Korean government and their essential stranglehold that they have up there. And so all of the friction and all of that tension it's coming from the government. It's not coming from the people themselves. Some of the people, obviously, they've kind of grown up into that culture where they really almost worship the president, or the ruler of North Korea, and but yeah, I mean, there's that long history between the South and North Korea ever since the Korean War. It was very arbitrary. They kind of split down. They split it right down. I believe it's 46th parallel, but 48th. It's 46th, 48th. I can't remember. But and a lot of South Koreans were actually kind of upset at General MacArthur at the time, because they felt that they could have actually pushed it further north, like all the way up to China, and then we wouldn't have had this split. But yeah, there's extensive history in that sense, but there's a lot of even longer history between the Koreans and the Japanese, just because there's a lot of times where the Japanese were trying to invade not only Korea but into China. But in order to do that, they went through Korea, and they've had many invasions over the years, and we're talking about centuries, where the Japanese would invade Korea, and because of that, there is some tensions, especially with the older generation, but with the younger generation now, and especially the global situation that we find ourselves in, the fact that we're more globalized and we're not so isolated as countries anymore, you don't find that animosity as much with the younger generation. But I remember when I was there, they had the World Cup there, and I remember how livid that a lot of Koreans were that they had to share the World Cup. It was shared between Japan and Korea, and they were just ballistic about the fact that they had to share it with Korea, and they had the opening ceremonies in Korea, but they ended up closing it there in Japan, and they were super upset with that. But yeah, it's very interesting, kind of that cultural dynamics that kind of play with that.